I can remember that you also were mentioning that ETFs and things like that are a danger to Bitcoin in a way when all those organizations come together and try to influence Bitcoin in a way.
Yeah.
How would that be possible, and do you see that coming?
I do see that coming. I think what's dangerous is the concentration of ownership and control over keys. So if you have a lot of the money in the Bitcoin ecosystem controlled by entities that centralize control over keys, those people who buy into an ETF like that are effectively third-grade citizens of the Bitcoin ecosystem. They're not participating actively in consensus as miners. They're not participating even as nodes, validating the rules. And they don't get to withdraw their participation from a chain in the case of a hard fork and choose which chain they want to keep their money on because they don't control the keys. And the ETF manager does, and that's dangerous.
But isn't that the same with big exchanges like Coinbase?
Yes, it is. I mean, big exchanges like Coinbase are exactly, and all of the other custodial exchanges. Custodial ownership of large amounts of Bitcoin means that when we want to introduce things like privacy, in stronger privacy into Bitcoin, which I think is absolutely necessary, we will run into kind of opposition from those who have 1 foot in Bitcoin and 1 foot in the US regulatory domain, and control enough of the economic activity to put pressure back.
Which is actually a very, very good reason and argument for that people hold their own keys.
Absolutely.
And do self-custody. Yeah.
Yes, and that allows you to decide which rules of consensus you follow by deciding where to exercise your economic power. And so I think that's a very important rule. But, at the same time, I'm a pragmatist here. People are, for the most part, not going to hold their own keys. We are going to have an environment where some keys are held by custodians, some keys are held by individuals, and it's going to be a mix. If enough people control their keys, then they can apply pressure and influence the consensus rules. So it's more about the distribution of power. And pragmatically, the way we look at that is, how can we make it easier and easier for people to hold their own keys in a way that is secure, in a way where they don't run into problems, in the way that can be done without significant new technical and security knowledge. It's not easy. It's really not easy to hold your own keys, and we need to make it easier. We have some great technologies that have improved things, like mnemonic phrases or seeds that allow you to back up your keys with 12 English words, for example. That's great. The problem is, how do you store that? Where do you store that? How do you make sure you don't lose it? What if someone finds it? And all of these other questions. One of the things that I think we're going to see in the future is solutions that involve social backup, where you are able to give parts of your keys to groups of friends in such a way that it takes cooperation by many of them to help you recover.
Mm-hmm. So that's not you...
Harder to lose, harder to steal, but easier to recover.
Yes. But now it sounds like it's really complicated to do self-custody. I mean, it's doable. Don't say it's so complicated, because in my book I'm writing about the ways how to do self-custody and how important it is. And it's also what you always say. Actually, I mean, you say all the time, not your keys, not your coins.
Yes.
So,
well, again, I mean, technology is always difficult in the beginning, right? If you think 100 years back and you said to people, okay, we have automobiles, but learning how to operate one of these vehicles at high speeds on roads where others are moving at high speeds and pedestrians might appear in front of you, I mean, not only is that going to require I don't know, 40 or 50 hours of training for every person who operates this vehicle, but some kind of way to ensure that that training is correct. And we're going to have to build roads and fuel stations everywhere. And the first people who heard that went, well, that's never going to work, right? So, and you know, in the beginning on the internet, it was like, well, we can't find anything because there aren't any good search engines, and operating browsers is complicated, and we're never going to be able to do e-commerce because people are going to get their money stolen. And yet, we do. So we can train people to do this better. It's difficult, but we can do difficult things, and the reward is worth it. So financial independence is something that for many people is such an important element of their freedom and their family's economic security that they will do very hard things.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And as you say, if you train it, it's not that hard. It could be easier, of course,
yes.
And it will be easier in the future, which is great. So talking
I just want to mention that I have a workshop now that teaches that, called Path to Self-Custody. So it's about how do you figure out what steps you need to take and whether you're ready, and how far can you go on the path to self-custody. Because it's not either you hold your own keys or you don't, and nothing in between. There's levels of financial sovereignty, if you like, and you can take steps gradually to move up this, let's call it the financial sovereignty staircase, right? And if you think about it, if you are involved in cryptocurrency, even if you have keys on an exchange, they're not your keys, and you have some cryptocurrency, well, yes, you haven't achieved full financial sovereignty, but look around you at the people who only hold euro or only hold US dollars. You already have one step above them in terms of financial sovereignty. So congratulations, welcome to this journey. Now let's take the second step. I think it's important to emphasize that while it's ideal that people move up this staircase until they can reach as much financial sovereignty as possible, not everyone will be able to do that. Every step is worth doing. And instead of saying you're doing Bitcoin wrong if someone's only on the first step, we need to switch that to congratulations. You've already taken a step that many, many people around you have not. Now let's see, are you ready for the next step? And if you are, let's help you take it.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I took up this idea and have it in the book now.
Yes, I know.
So, you know, yeah. So thanks for that great idea. And I guess that's a great workshop that you have there also for the people.
I have to say that the actual concept of a staircase of financial sovereignty is not my idea. It's Dr. Stephanie Murphy, my co-host on Speaking of Bitcoin, the podcast. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I'm citing her too. She's great, I think, also.
Yeah.